Crit status active. Orbital status standby.
What is up, Guardians? This is Cosmodrome Radio, broadcasting all the from here all the way until the. I want to say Nessus again because it's topical because of the changes that are going on. But you know what? No, we're all the way to Europa. We're hanging out, having a good time, especially because it's topical because of the season of the plunder. And man, the season wrapped up this week. We'll be talking about that next week because actually, I might actually wait 2 weeks because next week's Halloween. But in general, we have a lot to talk about this week in terms of different content that's been going on in Destiny. Originally, we had a specific plan of just talking about Grandmasters and how to prepare and mentally and whatnot. But now it's evolved into talking about the twab because the twab was like, "Hey, we're gonna derail your show again," and I'm like, "Bro." So we're going to go ahead and dive into this. Don't forget that you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Audible, iHeartRadio, all those great places. And you can check us out on Twitter at Cosmodrome Radio. Or if you need to know where any of this information is, you can go to cosmodromeradio.com and check out where all that stuff is located at. My name is Panda the Paladin. To my left, we have the man who has grown to hate Alaku and everything that he stands for. There was a point, I believe yesterday when we were running the GM, that told flat out just said, "I want to be done. I want to go play King's Fall." And I'm like, "No, we're getting this done."
I wanted to go fight orcs. Or thunder crashing orcs makes me feel better.
The fact that we can beat orcs, but we can't beat Alakul unless we stress ourselves out to the point that it took us 3 hours to beat Alakul. That tells you something right there.
It was not a fun experience.
No, it was not.
And then to top it off, Mindbenders is broken right now. It's not rolling with its extra perks. So I'm just sitting there with a Mindbenders that only has 2 perks, and I'm like, "Oh,
this was a waste of time."
There goes, yeah.
And then to my right, we have a special hunter that I love very dearly because they also share my love of slug shotguns that we slaved last weekend in trials to get the Inquisitor, and I finally got my god roll, and I was very happy about it. But no, Falcon, how you doing?
Salty because you flexed a better roll on me than mine.
Damn.
No, I'm doing really good.
All right, sweet. And then we got our guest, famous for his commentary on the TikToks, and apparently used to stream very frequently. It has a couple projects he is working on. We wanted to bring him on to help talk about the struggle that is Grandmasters and how what we can do to benefit the community a little bit. We have BillTheConqueror. How you doing today?
You know, it's a fabulous evening to be able to talk Destiny 2 with some other Guardians who have a good understanding of the game. So I'm grateful to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course,
you're welcome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So why don't we go ahead and dive into this twab real quick and just talk about how Toll is very sad because the monsters lost and the Gundams won. So yay!
I wanted my Godzilla hunt. The Titan armor. I will say the Titan armor looks good. The armor looks good. I'm just sad.
Then the worst part is you're not even a hunter main, but you wanted the hunter armor because like Godzilla. That's the funniest part. Even though last year we got the T-Rex armor with the Titan that looked amazing, and the year before that we got the Frankenstein armor, which also looks amazing.
My hot take is the last year's hunter armor looks the exact same if monsters would have won this year.
I agree. Because it literally that was the issue with it. They had a voting between dinosaurs and monsters, and the hunter looked the same.
Yeah, I'm gonna vote for something that's different.
Just the Raptor versus Godzilla. What do you want? So yeah, that was the cool thing they announced. They did the little Ginyu Force pose with it, which I thought was kind of cool. They did talk a little about National Coming Out Day, and this entire podcast, except for our guests, unless they are, which we would love to have more queer guests. But this entire podcast is hosted by a queer cast, and we want folks to know that if you ever need a safe space to come out or feel safe space in a clan, we have a clan fully led by queer people, and we want you to know you're safe. My gay black ass is here. We got Falcon over the corner. Toll's figured it out. We love him, but it's cool. Man wants to fuck orcs on the daily, so it's fine.
Orcs.
I want to hear about you and Orcs' grippers. I want to hear.
I haven't mentioned them in a while.
But yeah, please know that you have a safe space here, and if you ever need like to message us or tweet at us, please, or even just like our email is listed on the website, so feel free to give us a shout. Next thing I like the agenda was the fact that Bungie kind of threw us a curveball at us, and ironically enough, Paul Tassi did a video about like 3 weeks ago talking about how like the inventory is getting kind of cluttered with stuff, and I didn't think Bungie was going to pull this.
No, I'm pumped for this.
Because they announced that every planetary material is like being sunsetted in a way where you won't be able to obtain them anymore. But you will still be able to like use them. Like they're not gonna like delete them from your inventory like they did with mod components or like the old coin system. But you will be able to like turn them in for glimmer or turn them in for like upgrade modules for a limited time. And then at some point they're going to turn it off. But like they want you to use your planetary materials to get rid of them, and then they're going to be like commissioned out, as it were. Which I was like, I understand the thought process because Josh Kalinsky talks about it in the TWAB that they wanted to sort of like declutter the inventory and make it more simplistic for new and returning Guardians. But I'm over here like we've had planetary materials since D1.
But they said it in the TWAB how the way the planetary materials are used in D1 is so different now than it was D2. Like, and realistically, you don't use them in like any meaningful way in D2 now.
Right.
Yeah. See. Here's the thing. I didn't play D1. I never played D1 at all. but I can tell you that trying to explain to new people or people that haven't played in a couple years, everything you have to get it. So like a Banshee, it changes every day. You know, whether you have to go to the MHDZ and grind there for 2 hours to get 100 planetary materials to go back and get four upgrade modules. I mean, it's one of those things trying to explain to people all the steps that you have to go through just to get one stupid thing. And I saw that. I'm like, thank you. Because because one of the things that I did a series on TikTok, and it was sort of the genesis of my whole vocabulary thing is that the overall new player experience for this game is terrible. It is absolute. I have friends that have played Call of Duty for years and years, and I got them to play Destiny 2 PvP, and they love it because it moves so well, and you can do so much. But trying to explain to them, okay, this guy beat you because he has a certain gun that you don't have. Well, okay, how do I get that gun? Okay, well, in order to get a Ace of Spades, you have to do these 403 things. And I'm like he's played COD for years. He plays some Apex Legends, and he enjoyed the whole experience of Destiny 2 PvP, but he doesn't want to invest the 2,400 hours that it's going to take to get all the armor and weapons that he wants to actually have fun in the game. And I totally get that because from back in 2018 when I started to now, the game has become incredibly complex, and trying to get new people on board is really, really hard. So
yeah, and I definitely sympathize with that. We've talked about that on the podcast a lot because it is one of those situations where there's so much going on in the game that it's hard for new people to get into, and Bungie hasn't really made a path for new lights at all. I think when I saw the TWAB, my brain went, I see what you're saying, and I agree with you, but I still have very nostalgia goggles of like watching Dato's video about how to like the specific route to go around the Cosmodrome for the spin
Oh
meadow.
yeah,
Like that, where it's like you enjoyed that original trip. You
what
enjoyed
was
that
that
going to grind that concept. So
what
it's
was
like
the Mars material called? Like relic iron?
something like that. Yeah,
Oh,
relic
Or
iron.
I'd farm that
right,
stuff for hours.
So it's
or
like
or the a forge a grind
Yeah.
where you
Oh,
where you pulled out all the green armor from your collections and you sat in the forge for like 24 straight hours and you came back and you had 3,400 of the planetary materials.
yeah. So it's like when you see stuff like that, it makes you nostalgic, but it's like I understand why you did it. I'm just a little sad it's happening. Where like at least
I'm
they're
not.
not doing what they've done with other systems where they're like, oh, just delete it by the end of the season or use it by the end of the season and it's gone. They're like, hey, you have time. We're not giving you a specific deadline. You can use the planetary materials to get glimmer. You have a back pocket source of glimmer because we're making glimmer cost more in terms of different things. So you have a backup plan for glimmer. And they even said, which I thought was surprising, if you have like an extra like influx of dark fragments and Harrowways pieces, because who's grinding beyond light weapons anymore? But you can turn
Me.
that in for glimmer too.
Yeah.
Let's see.
and on top of that, oh, go ahead, Bill.
I was going to say that I remember towards the end of the season of the Joker, I think it was, where they went from the glimmer cap of 100,000, they changed it to 250,000. It would not surprise me. I don't think they mentioned it, but it would not surprise me if it went from like 250,000 to like 400,000.
I could see that. I could see a glimmer. We've been needing a glimmer increase for a while, especially
Oh
when
my god, I know.
the kiosk for the exotics came out. That was a
Yes.
big sign for me of we need a like a glimmer cap because some of the raid exotics would cost 250,000 glimmer, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's a lot
Yeah.
of glimmer, dog. So
Yeah.
I think we're about due for a turn in terms of that. So what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was going to say that they actually increased the amount of glimmering you get for public heroic events. So that
Yes.
actually
Which-
emphasizes if you need glimmer to go do that.
We're like, hey, can you go do some public events, guys? Like, this content's just sitting here. Can you please go do some public events? And we're like, nah. What if we up the glimmer cap? And we're like, okay, maybe.
Well, and the best short-term grind for glimmers in the Cosmodrome. Anyway, I mean, if you put on your ultimate a glimmer booster, and you get between 3,500 to 4,500 glimmer for a heroic event in a Cosmodrome right now.
Wow, I actually didn't know.
Really?
Yes. So when I'm low on glimmer, like if I'm down like 75 grand, I throw on a certain mod that one a glimmer boosting mod. I think you get an extra 12% or something or whatever, and then I just go do a whole bunch of Cosmodrome public events, and just about all of them you can make heroic by yourself, and you get between 35 to 4,500 per. So,
Yeah, that'll be
Damn.
interesting because the max glimmer mod I'm looking at right now is 65%. So if those stay and they're upping it next season to the 10 to 12.5K, that'll be close to 20,000 events. So that's awesome.
yeah.
Right. From there, that like they did talk about how just like the overall change of the economy. And one thing that I really enjoyed they're doing, they're not saying, hey, Devram, failsafe, all these other people, they're not gonna like fall by the wayside and just be broken. We're gonna make it so they have a little bit of a tweak to how they do things. They're gonna offer more bounties. They're gonna do more things in terms of things. I was like, dang, you actually did something with Devram and failsafe? Holy crap! Like I was actually surprised. Granted,
Yeah.
I think they need to overhaul all the worldly event like vendors and like just make it so they all have the same rank system as Finch and do that kind of system and make people actually have a reason to go do stuff on the EDZ.
What do you
we'll
mean?
have
You
a
don't go to the
reason-
Dreaming City anymore?
Oh my god! Like, bro, unless I'm doing stuff to prep for a next season, like bounties, you do not catch me in the Dreaming City.
You don't play
Like,
the blind well every week?
bro, it's like legitimately. I'm like ever since they made it with Season of the Risen, where there's that one way to focus Dreaming City weapons there. I haven't touched the Dreaming City unless I had to specifically get bounties for next season. I don't touch the Dreaming City. I can't remember the last time I just had her throat actually.
So if I want to do a fast weapon level up, I do a blind well sometimes.
It's a good idea.
I actually didn't think about that. Honestly, I still miss the throwaway. Like I know why they nerfed the throwaway, but it still makes me sad.
Yep, I agree.
Because like it gets annoying having to go to Shiroshi every 5 minutes. Like it would be nice if they could just put, because at the very least with the throwaway, you had to work for that. You had to like go through the whole first section, unless you did some crazy like out of bounds shit. You had to at least go through the whole first section, and then and then go through the giant hallway with all the snipers, and then get through the ogre platforming, and then you're at the throwaway.
And then you macro farmed.
Yeah, that was. I think they should ban macroing in the game, but
that's literally macros should be banned 100%. They are actually. They're banned.
Like I'll see videos on YouTube that misleading. That this is one YouTuber misleading. I'm like, this is the macro you can use and the program you can use. I'm like, bro, you should be banned on site. Like, I'm sorry. Like, from there that they had a really cool thing that they featured the Brazilian Bungie social media team, because they're opening more internationally to help give resources to other countries, which I thought was super cool. But then there was the mid-season weapon tuning that's coming next week, and oh boy, they said we coming for everybody, and I'm like, this is what we doing. Okay. So first thing, actually, you know what, Toll? You like reading the twab? Talk about some more auto rifles. Toll dead again. Toll, wake your ass up. Fix your microphone. I swear to God.
Sorry.
Were you muted?
I don't know.
Tell us about some auto rifles.
Yeah.
So the auto rifles are getting some stability changes in precision crit damage. The precision frame is getting their crit damage up to bring them more in line with the other auto rifles and other guns. They don't want to buff them too much because they feel if they do, then they're going to be too oppressive in PvP. So they're trying to balance it. So they're not like that.
They didn't want another summoner meta, which I appreciate. Or they didn't
do you not remember the Uriel meta?
Oh, the Uriel meta too. Yeah,
Uriel meta.
They even called that out. Yeah, so like I can respect that, and they were even like, "Yo, we don't want to buff them too much, but we want to like give people a reason to use auto rifles again." I'm like, I can understand that, because like I remember when Summoner first came back 2 seasons ago, and then like you would see people trying to use Summoner against like hand cannons or pulse rifles, and there was just no shot. There was nothing you could do about that. So I like that they're trying to compromise where we don't want to buff it too much, but we'll give you a little bit. So that was kind of cool to see.
I agree.
And then the bow swapping to a hand cannon, that's being changed. That's gone.
Thank God.
Oh, yes.
I'm
so pumped.
To whoever came up with that idea of, we'll swap from Luminarch or Wish Ender or whatever to a 120.
Disgusting.
There's a special place that, like in the darkness for you, sir, because like the freaking the witness wants to have a conversation with you because you're not a good human. Like you doing some dirty stuff. It was not fun. So like I appreciate that Bungie even noticed that, was like, yeah, we need to get rid of that. So that's
now
cool.
For those of you like me who do not like facing the pulse rifles, who do not like facing peace of mind,
you mean people
it's
who don't
time
know
to
how
get
to shoot
happy.
Their guns?
Yeah.
You mean people who don't know how to shoot their
It's
guns?
getting changed a little bit. They're fixing the zoom on it.
But see, here's the problem.
It's not going to be a long range anymore.
It's not going to be that long range, but here's the problem with people who don't like peace of mind. You just don't like the fact that people strap a full auto mod to it. Peace of
Yeah.
mind is not
Yeah.
that powerful. Peace of mind, similar to Darkest Before, doesn't have that great of a perk pool. It's not like it has Kill Clip. It's not like it has freaking Desperado. It's just a fast hitting weapon that people strapped full auto to, and you deem it to be a threat. But in reality, there are so many better guns than Peace of Mind. I was beating people with a Horror's Least Adept last week over Peace of Mind. And I didn't even have a freaking full auto.
That's a hard counter, though. Just like Messenger. Messenger hard counter is Peace of Mind, too.
Yes, it does. Yeah, and it has to do with range because
Mhm.
the whole problem with Peace of Mind is that the zoom was off. It wasn't in line with other 540s, and so if the person with Peace of Mind shot first, they could outgun you if you didn't immediately retreat, because they're shooting almost twice as fast as you are.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, so in certain situations, if you're facing somebody who isn't looking right at you, and you get off the first trigger pull, by the time they turn to even try to find you, you're dead.
Yep.
Right,
So-
and that's
Yep.
what sucks about people abusing the full auto mod, because with specifically
Yeah.
with that high of an RPM count, you
Yeah,
have people who
exactly.
legit will like just hold the trigger and trace you out of the air, and will trace where
Yes.
you're going, and it
Who would
sucks
do that?
because I wonder who would do that, Falcon.
Who doesn't have 3,000 kills on their Peace of Mind?
Oh,
I have
wow.
300 because I actually know how to use a pulse rifle. I don't
Whoa.
cheat. But because I can show you clips of my Peace of Mind that has targeting adjuster on it, because I like being able to hit my shots, not abuse the system. That's how I do things. And even when Peace of Mind first came out, I told people, hey, if you don't have Season of the Risen and can't afford it right now, go do Prophecy, farm the final boss, and get you a freaking overflow elemental capacitor Darkest Before,
Oh,
and
I
you can
love
do the
Darkest
same
Before.
damn
Yeah.
thing.
Darkest Before
Yeah.
is so good.
So it's like when people
Absolutely.
were getting mad about a Peace of Mind, I'm like, bro, there's a whole other gun over there that does the same thing. Like, just,
Yeah.
the only reason people like this gun is because they were putting full auto straps on it. That's the
Right.
only reason.
Yeah, and in reality, Darkest Before is better than Peace of Mind by leaps and bounds, but you see Peace of Mind more often because it's easier to get.
Yep.
Yeah. And also, I love how they even said in the TWAB, they're like, when it comes to the adaptive frames, we don't, like, they haven't really seen any action since the Bygones era. I'm like, yeah, because y'all got rid of Bygones when everyone still
Yeah.
loved Bygones.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's a gun I would love to see come back and put
Oh
a
my
gambit. Like, that would, like, screw the current pulse
Reprise it
rifle they
even.
put.
Call it something
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, screw the gun they just put into freaking Gambit. Give me Bygones back, and I'll
Yeah.
just shred everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, so I started playing Destiny 2 in about 2018, and I remember very early on, I got this blast furnace, like really early on, and of course, I'm
that's my
using
child
this,
right there.
yeah, I'm using this blast furnace. I have no idea really how to play the game yet, but this thing had a 96 range.
Yeah.
96.
Ooh.
I was
Oh,
I
yeah.
was going into PvP and cross mapping people with blast furnace.
Oh, yeah.
And
Last
my
furnace was
son,
the goat.
it was,
Yeah.
and my son who got me into the game he says to me, so Dad, you know what that gun's actually called? I go, yeah, it's called blast furnace. He goes, no, it's called the dad furnace because it's so easy to use.
Oh my god, I hate people who
The
call
dad
them.
rifle.
I hate people who call them dad rifles, bro. Like, stop it. It's so dumb. I hate it.
That's good.
I never got the idea, like, oh, because it has a burst that's slow like that. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
But it's so great.
but
Let's see.
he said that to me, and I'm like, you know what? That's a good one, but I'm going to mark that down because here soon I'm going to be doing things on the same level that you are, and I'm going to troll the hell out of you, son.
Ooh.
That's good. Oh my
Oh.
gosh.
Yeah.
From there, the scout rifles like are getting rolled back a little bit because they're like, hey, so we know we buff scout rifles, but maybe we buff them a little too much. So they're reducing the body damage by 2, and they're reducing the crit damage by 3.5. So that's gonna fix a little bit of a lot of the issues that were going on. Because like, still, my box breathing jury can 2-tap people, and it's scary. So I can agree with that. That was a
That's
little
scary,
much.
yeah.
And this is even combined with something that happens later in the TWA where they talk about how Jade Rabbit's getting a nerf too. So you have not only
Goodbye.
you have not only Jade Rabbit getting like reined in a little bit, and you have that archetype getting reined in a little bit. So Jade Rabbit's getting put back on the shelf until they fix that dang perk, and Jade Rabbit Emperor is going to be sad, and I don't care.
And before anybody freaks out that these guns are like unusable, they'll still be usable. They'll pretty much play the exact same. They're
Right.
just like they said, they're not like as easy to use anymore. They're not like their ease of use has just been like made a little bit more difficult. So like you can still get to where they were. It just might take a little bit of practice now.
Right, and one thing they need to talk about later on in the TWAB, which is like a couple pages down, like a couple things down, is the no time to explain. They were very transparent about the no time to explain, where they say, hey, this gun has been the top of trials the past 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That's an outlier that we cannot ignore.
Yeah.
But we recognize that it is seeing more use on mouse and keyboard than in console. Like the amount of people versus console versus PC was half of the amount, if not more so than half.
Yep.
So
it was like
that
33% and 12.
Yeah, so that told them, hey, we just need to make the ease of use a little bit less. That way there's more of a balance. And I can respect that because granted, as a pulse rifle whore, do I enjoy seeing hand cannons take a seat? Yes. But do I enjoy a meta where it's legit the top 3 pulse rifles battle or piece of my no time every week? No. There needs to be a fluctuation. No. There needs to be a difference in meta every week and a different change.
Yeah.
So I respect what they did there.
Yeah, like obviously there'll always be metas, but as long as you're able to counter those metas with relevant weapons, it shouldn't matter what actually is meta.
Right. And they're even like, hey, sidearms, we want to like make them a little like easier to use.
Yeah, save your sidearms when Iron Banner comes around next time.
Oh, I am so scared of that sidearm.
Yeah,
I am
peace bounds.
Right in.
Well, I'm about to say peace bound's gone, but Allied Demand is actually starting to make a comeback, and now with this change where they're increasing the auto aim fall off, that's going to make that thing
strikes too.
Yeah,
or whatever it's called. Oh yeah.
And then there's the forgiveness from trials.
Yeah, forgiveness is going to be a monster, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens there.
I'm pumped. Now, I love the last hope meta.
And they're even taking a crack at SMGs again, and they're like, hey, we're going to reduce the zoom of Shira's Wrath and Friction Fire. And I'm like,
thank you.
Thank you.
See, here's my complaint about that.
I'm beaming people at peace of mind range.
Shira's Wrath needed Shira's Wrath needed to be reined in a little bit. But but we don't need to nerf it. We need to like rein it in a little bit, like how we did with the pulse rifles and the scout rifles.
They're doing fall-off damage, so it can still hit you that far. It just won't do as much damage, and the aim assist has gone down.
Right. I do not think that you should be able to have an SMG that nearly has the exact same range as an auto rifle. No,
absolutely not.
That should not be a thing. And it's like a chaperone with a shotgun. It's like, no, you're not supposed to be able to land all your pellets from that far away, you know?
Right. It's just not possible. So like I can agree that SMGs need to be reined in a little bit, but I still feel like they need to be able to hit hard. And also the issue that I find with Shira's Wrath specifically is they introduced the gun. It was a sleeper in the meta for a hot minute. And then once people started to realize the potential of Shira's Wrath, they rotated it out and didn't really put in anything comparable. So you have trials in this sort of state right now where, like, yeah, there's the new shotgun and, like, yeah, there's a bow with kill clip, but there have people who came in right when Messenger got buffed can't get a Messenger. Shira's Wrath is now hot and people have interest in it, can't get a Shira's. And there was even guys last week in trials who were like, who joined my fire team to farm the shotgun with me, who's like, I'm gonna farm the sniper rifle. I'm like, first of all, that's not possible this week anyway. Second of all, the sniper rifle is out of rotation, so you can't even go focus it if you wanted to. It's like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, you should have read the twab. It's not possible anymore. What about the auto rifle? No, the auto rifle's gone too. They only had it back for 2 seasons. Like that. That's what I talked about previously, where it's like, if you're gonna have all these guns that are potentially gonna be meta at some point, just have all of these trials and Iron Banner weapons able to be focused. You already make them cost an arm and a leg.
Oh my god!
Make them all be focused. Either they don't even ever rotate in from a adept point of view. Make their regulars be available to the community.
That's fair.
Yep.
Well,
and I would pay. I would honestly pay money to either have some kind of a side quest or even ever verse ornaments of the old trials armor.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
For sure.
That's my other complaint.
100%.
Yeah.
Because that was one thing that I always hated, was they got rid of that older trials armor.
Yeah.
Right when they said, hey, we're gonna make trials more accessible with things like the flawless pool and the new rank system.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know how much I would give to have that old Titan armor, man? I would give it all.
Yep.
So it's like, it sucks.
Yep.
So you want to talk about fusion rifles?
Oh boy.
I mean, they're not doing much. They're just reducing the intrinsic precision frame perk that has recoil damage by 50%. They're reducing the recoil direction by 50% for fusion rifles only.
And here's the issue with that. Bungie is missing the point of the issue with fusion rifles. The issue is not the recoil direction. The issue is not the the zoom or whatever the hell that they did with it last time they nerfed fusion rifles. The issue is the fact that these weapons can hit one pellet of their spread on an enemy and delete them. It does not. The inconsistency with fusion rifles is so horrible.
I will play devil's advocate, and partly that's playing an FPS game and hit scan and stuff like that. Like, most likely the game registers more than the bullets you're actually seeing, but the recoil direction is directly related to how far the bullets will hit you and how many hit you. So that's why they did that. So like, you should be able to feel it. Obviously there's still going to be fusion rifles and still knock you out of the park most of the time, but at least it might not happen as much
There's
anymore.
main ingredient, cough.
Yeah, Zer's main ingredient needs to be like freaking sunset at this point. I'm tired of that dang thing.
I think I have 700 kills on it, which is not a lot, but it's
there's people with thousands of kills on that thing. That tells them right there where there's like thousands of kills on one legendary weapon. Like you out here nerfing No Time after No Time's only been on the top of the board for 6 weeks. How about nerf main ingredient, Nick Flabbit?
Yeah.
That must obviously mean there's something bigger going on, that they can't just like tank it.
That's fair.
Well, okay. So that said, and me bringing this up is probably going to jinx it. How long has it been since a Telesto broke something?
That's fair.
It's been like 3-4 seasons. It's been before Witch Queen that Telesto hasn't broken anything.
The only thing, no, it was last season when they put Telesto in with Banshee.
Yep.
And it broke the tower.
Oh, that
91
doesn't
days,
count.
1 hour, and 30 minutes.
Yes, it does. It was Telesto.
That doesn't count.
It does. He was holding it.
Anyway.
Ooh, that was funny, actually. I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they actually did like address Glaives, because they like how me and Falcon were excited about this. They were a little soft. They were like, we've talked about how there's only so much you can do to it before the shield does nothing.
Yeah.
So I kind of see what they were thinking right here. They're like, it will drop it from 75% to 50. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So I see their heads at.
The only thing I know is when I saw those numbers, I saw that it went from 3 sword swings to 2 sword swings in PvP, which is still ridiculous. Like, it should be in that like safe area of 1 to 2, but that still just doesn't seem like it's really feasible.
Yeah. So I feel like this is a good place where we can test it and see what could be beneficial with it. But at least they're not ignoring it. They're not ignoring the problem, which I think is pretty cool.
That's fair.
Sniper rifles. Thank God Bungie finally admitted that sniper rifle is a problem, because they're like, hey, we noticed you're not getting any flinch from when people shoot you in the head while you're trying to snipe them. So we're gonna give you some flinch. I'm like, thank you, Bungie. You realize the problem here.
I don't
About damn
know
time.
who's
About damn
using
time.
those snipers, because when I get shot in the head, my reticle shoots into the sky. So
I don't know,
either
man.
it's a skill issue or
I don't know. There's a lot of times where I'll be shooting someone with a no timer or a piece of mind, and then I hit full on crit shots, and they still snipe me in the head. And I'm like, how'd you do that?
that's
How'd you achieve that?
Yeah.
So it's like I'm excited to see what that does there. And then with trace rifles, they're saying they want to like try to make trace rifles do a thing, and I'm like, okay,
yeah.
I'm scared for another trace rifle meta, but like, okay.
Div meta, here we come.
Okay,
Bro,
I'm
there's already a
excited.
div meta, and it's scary.
Right. Okay. So a question.
What's
One
up?
of the things that I have always wondered out loud is it why is it that Bungie tries so hard to give us multiple options for the same exact purpose? So, for example, a fusion rifle is basically a shotgun, and a trace rifle is basically an auto rifle, and this is something that I've always wondered, that unless you have a specific reason that you're using a trace rifle, like the what's the stasis a trace rifle the
Auger Scepter.
yes, that one. Okay. I can understand why you would use it because it has the freeze aspect. I can understand a divinity because it buffs. But every other trace rifle, including the wave splitter, including Cold Heart, all they are is an auto rifle with special ammo. And so I've always wondered why.
That's a good
Yeah,
point.
that is a good point. I was thinking about it now that you say that. Like, realistically, the only thing I could think of is that you want to play auto rifles at a longer range. But the point of, then they even said it in the TWAB, that the point of I forget the word now.
Trace rifles.
Trace rifles is that they're like they're gonna shoot right up in the sky, like they're an uncontrollable Ghostbuster beam. Like, you're right, like they don't fill like any holes that exist.
Right, and there's so you have the stasis one, you have divinity, you have the one that we got back before Titan went away, the void one that when you shot the
Ruinous Effigy.
Ruinous Effigy is fun though, because they actually tried to make it something.
Yeah.
And yet you never see it do a thing, and it's like, all right, cool, that's fine.
I was playing a master and someone was using it, but that was PvE.
Right. So those trace rifles serve a certain purpose, and I don't have a problem with that. So there was a point at which I always wondered, why are all trace rifles exotics? And then we got trace rifles that weren't exotics, and then I realized it. Yeah, it's okay to have special weapons in the game, but when you take a weapon like a trace rifle, for example, that in certain instances serves a certain purpose, but there. I don't have a situation directly in mind where I would choose a trace rifle over an auto rifle of the same cinch. I don't know if that's a thing for me.
That's fair. Yeah.
The only time I see like a trace rifle being viable, and especially in a GM setting, is Divinity.
We'll keep going. It's fine.
Okay.
There. All right. Cool.
So is Divinity in GMs because it has intrinsic overload, and then you get the crit bubble, and then it's just damage. That one makes sense. In last season, when they had overload trace rifles, it was just I can use it, but I can just put div on, save 3 spots, and go use something else. It's the same with Overload Machine Gun this season.
That is so stupid. I can't. I do not like Overload Machine Guns at all. I
don't
not
like them either.
them. I do not like it.
You have to just put so much heavy ammo into it to make it do a thing. It's just not.
Yes,
worth it.
right. And see, so when it comes to machine guns versus bows, now machine guns versus bows. So if you're doing a lost sector by yourself and you have the choice between an overload bow and an overload machine gun, you're going to choose the overload bow. Why? Because if you get an overload champ by itself and there's nothing else around and you keep shooting arrows into it, it stuns and stuns and stuns and stuns and stuns. And you get that stun lock going, and it works nice. But if you have a machine gun, it doesn't. Right.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, so it was very odd choice. Like I still tell Tolls constantly that Overload Machine Gun was a mistake. But
wasn't it?
I was hyped for it, but then I used it, and it's like,
Yeah, like Overload SMG and Overload Auto Rifle were a great idea because not only did they put them in the same, they put them in the same. Bad. I thought it was great because I always love
machine guns.
I always love Overload SMG and Overload. I wish Overload Hand Cannon would come back because Overload Hand Cannon with explosive payload was great.
That was viable. I think that's a viable one.
Okay.
So yeah, and then the next thing in the TWAB they talked about was they want to make rocket launchers have more passable usage of PvP. So they're buffing the blast radius across the board in rocket launchers by 0.4. And here's my statement in regards to
Gallahorn.
Bungie. You just nerfed Gallahorn because of Gambit. And now you're saying you're going to buff blast radius across the board. That sounds very counterintuitive and spits in the face of the 3 Gambit players that complained about Gallahorn. Why? But like that's how I feel. Like granted, I thought it was dumb.
No.
I said it multiple times now that them nerfing Gallahorn because of Gambit was stupid. So right now I'm sitting here like, wow, the 3 people who are upset about Gambit and Gallahorn must be pretty upset, right? Because you basically just reversed what you did for no reason.
Right. I agree.
So now a rocket launcher I think is actually going to benefit from this is Truth.
Yeah, I think need to come back for a while. I
Truth, it might be coming back.
It'd be nice.
Okay.
And then I love how
like Deathbringer.
Deathbringer is so much fun.
Like I'm thinking like all the exotic rocket launchers that'll benefit from this, and it's like Truth and Deathbringer come to mind.
It would be nice to see them do a thing. And then we dive into the perk changes. We got some perk changes that came through. They said, even though people have been criticizing how Gunshot Straight works, we're only going to remove the audio cue from Gunshot Straight. We're not going to change how the perk works. I'm like, that's dumb.
You know what? That's cool. Leave it as is. Just means I have less perks to think about when I'm looking for a role.
Right.
And then for Rangefinder, all the PvP mains started getting pissed on Twitter today because they said they're taking away the 20% bonus off of the aim assist fall off that you got from Rangefinder. So you have increased range, but once the damage still falls off at the original range amount. So you get more range, but you get less damage. And I think it's funny.
I think that just puts it in line with other perks. It's more bring everything onto the same level.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I agree.
Right.
Whereas these should be the ones that get the above level stuff in supers. Yeah. Should be able to have the little above level thing. Dave is the only exception to this.
Right. And then we already touched on the Jade Rabbit thing a little bit. But all they're really doing is just nerfing the aim assist. So combine that with the scout rifle nerfing, Jade Rabbit's getting hit pretty bad. But then, Bungie, we got to have a talk.
No.
We have to have a talk.
No.
Yes.
No, Falcon, I'm Bungie right now. No.
Falcon, why? Well, why can't you let me have this talk?
Okay. I will listen.
Okay. I've talked about it before on the show how Lord of Wolves didn't need this nerf.
No, it doesn't.
And when like the only reason why people complained because Lord of Wolves had already been nerfed 3 times prior to this nerf. People only complained about it because they saw an uptick in usage. People don't like shotgun metas at all, let alone a shotgun meta that has to deal with a pulse rifle type of shotgun. So the only type of like the damage output was fine. It took dang near 2 bursts to kill a guardian usually, unless you were just super skilled and you could one burst somebody. Like it's possible, but it's very rare that you could one burst somebody. So in general, the only thing you needed to do was remove the clip from 15 to 10. They didn't need to do all this other stuff. And the thing that really bugs me about this is there's some things in the language of this when it says that it should still be inaccurate enough to that using release the wolves in PvP against guardians will not be effective. It really sounded like, and the other language they use where they want it to be a PvE gun.
Yes.
Bungie.
Yeah.
Nobody is going to use a shotgun in PvE unless it's like basic, like strikes or gambit or just basic stuff. You're not taking a shotgun in the Grandmasters unless you're told. Unless you're told, and I had to tell him no because this motherfucker wanted to bring a shotgun into Lightblade.
No, I gotta on this one.
Like unless you're told being psychotic. No one's taking a shotgun into high.
Unless you're just doing a
PvE.
major wombo combo with Legend of Acreus. That's the only thing I can think of.
Right.
Or if you're a hunter who wants to a meme with a lighter.
Yeah,
right.
That's good
it just really feels like they want, like, it feels like they're trying to make fetch a thing. They're trying to make Lord of Wolves be a thing in PvE or just shotguns be a thing in PvE when it's not possible. Like,
or you're like me and you're a bonk king and you're trying to get it to work.
But I still say, like, 1-2 punch and bonk should never be a thing. That's the reason why Solo 3.0 was the way it was. But that's beside the point. But in general, it really feels like they need this entire Lord of Wolves situation is stupid, and no one's gonna use it in PvE whether they want it to be or not.
And see, I felt the exact same way when I saw that they had overload shotguns or was
unstoppable shotgun.
Yes, unstoppable shotguns. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to stand next to an unstoppable champion. Why would I get in? Why would I get close enough to shoot it with a shotgun? That makes absolutely no sense.
Right.
Yeah, no.
So it just, and then they're like, oh, we're going to add the full auto as an intrinsic perk. And I'm like, aren't y'all getting rid of intrinsic perk full auto on like half of your guns? Like, didn't y'all just announce that? So it just, I don't know.
Sweet.
Like, whoever is working on the Lord of Wolves thing, I need to have a conversation. Like, Mercules, somebody, please come on the show. I want to have a conversation. But anyway, we already talked about No Time to Explain, about how, literally, on mouse and keyboard, No Time to Explain's makes up for 29.9 of the pulse rifle usage in PvP and accounts for 31.1 of pulse rifle kills. On controller, it's 12.3 of the usage and 12.5 of the kills. So that's a steep difference.
It is. It is. And you know what? Here's why I'm fine with that. All the controller players that use last word and shoot me freaking 90 feet away, you can all go screw yourselves because I'm tired of dying to last word controller players in Crucible.
But see, this even goes into something. Yeah, that's a fair take. Because last word is a menace. But like this, like if we're gonna start having this kind of level of transparency when it comes to PC versus console, I really feel like we need to re-examine things like DMT, because you saw DMT get nerfed into the ground and then fully reworked to the point where it's not usable because of mouse and keyboard players.
Yep.
There should have been no reason that this gun was nerfed into the ground to the point that it's not usable because of mouse and keyboard players. So I really feel like they need to re-examine how certain guns operate. If you're going to use this as the jurisdiction for No Time, you need to re-examine everything. And they even said things they're looking into, which is what happened with DMT. They said they're going to remove the damage penalty from cranial spike. They're going to possibly look into fixing that. Cool. But if you're going to start looking at the usage based on the mouse and keyboard versus console, why did it start with no time versus all the other stuff you've been doing recently?
Yeah.
That's where I'm kind of confused.
The only thing I could think of is that it fits into the 2026 new exotic rebuffs or reworks.
It'd be nice. And then Risk Runner, like we talked about last time, we were super confused why Risk Runner was getting nerfed, but they're cutting down the damage resistance in PvP from 50% to 15%, which feels kind of steep.
It's a hard counter on Arc. If you're running anything Arc, you're losing most of those encounters.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, you are.
And it's only in PvP, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's very odd, but like it's cool, whatever.
Yeah.
And like there's a couple of things happening, like they're working on like machine gun balancing and stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes in the future. But that
Commemoration meta.
Jesus. So like definitely look out for more stuff. We'll talk about the next TWAB. I was kind of disappointed that other than the showing of the armor, there wasn't any information on Halloween next week.
Good.
Because what do you mean good?
It's got to be a surprise.
Oh my god!
I like the surprise. It means I got something to look forward to.
Exactly. We haven't gotten many surprises not spoiled lately in Destiny, so I like that they left it.
But like my concern is if they just rewind Glint's audio from last year and just have it be the haunted lost sectors, I'm gonna throw a fit.
Oh, I'm gonna throw a fit too if it's that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, like that's what concerns me about there being no news, no coverage whatsoever. It feels
when have
like
we ever gotten prior news besides like Guardian games before an event?
We got a TWAB last year about Halloween.
We got a bit of Solstice this year, I believe. I didn't play during Halloween at all last year, so I'm like, I don't know what you guys are talking about for the event.
Okay, so last year was the first year that we didn't have the haunted.
Rest in peace. I missed it so much.
We had the haunted Mercury stuff where you would go into the haunted Infinite Forest, and that was a whole thing because like this was the first year of Beyond Light and Sunsetting. It was the first year we had this, so we didn't have the haunted Infinite Forest. They were like, what can we do? They said we're going to take like a couple Moon Law sectors, a couple Nessus Law sectors, and a couple. I think it was Cosmodrome or either Cosmodrome or EDZ, and we're going to make them like haunted. You have to keep going into the Law sectors, killing basically just Hive Knights with pumpkins on their heads to keep stacking up candy and grabbing candy and stuff like that.
I mean, I did enjoy that.
Yeah, that was kind of fun, but like it was a good change. Glint Crow's Ghost was like the announcer for it. And occasionally different voice actors would come in, like Petra came in, and she's like, I heard you guys were taking a break and having some fun. And Glint's like, hey, Petra, we're fighting Hive Knights with pumpkins on their heads. And she's like, why did I even call? Like, it was cute. So it's like, that was a cool idea, but there was something missing from that. Yeah, so it's like, there was something missing from the Haunted Infinite Forest, because with the Haunted Infinite Forest, it was multi-layered. You know, the sort of the same thing you would do with Infinite Forest levels of going like deeper and deeper and deeper. But the caveat was there was like an invincible hive, like a non-taken version of the big axe dudes from the Shattered Throne dungeon. Like those guys, but he was just a normal hive, and he would chase you around, and you're trying to survive, gather candy, and keep going through the Infinite Forest without dying to this dude. So it was kind of a sad.
I like that.
But I'm real, like the fact that there was no news today, no previews of the new loot, no preview of the new stuff you can buy from Eververse. It really has me afraid they're just gonna be like, so here's Glint, he's gonna go on Rewind from last year. Here's Grandma Ava, y'all have fun. I'll be like,
I'm gonna be the based optimist and mean that it's a good thing that we're not hearing anything.
So I honestly think that they're gonna change it, and the reason I think that is that when we had the event with the European Aerial Zone this year, what's that one?
The Solstice.
Solstice, yeah. So they completely reworked Solstice, and I actually like Solstice. And the main reason I did is that it didn't take me 20 minutes to run that each time. It was at most 5, and so so they basically streamlined everything for you, and they made it a lot more fun and a lot faster. And I'm fairly certain. I do not have any inside sources, but I'm fairly certain that this.
What do you know?
Well, let's just say that I have a couple friends that every once in a while I'll send a message to, and they'll say, "You didn't hear this from me, but but it. I think based upon what they've done to Solstice, based upon what they've been doing to the game in general, I think this Festival of the Lost is going to be a lot shorter and a lot more grindable, because from what everyone is saying, the sniper rifle is
It's gonna be dirty.
It's gonna be pretty freaking good. So
I'm
just say
pumped.
it. Just
the fact that it can roll, like, and I will say this.
I haven't looked yet. What does it roll with?
So here's the thing, like, if you go to like GG right now, you can preview it. It doesn't have the name, but it has the orange perk and all the perks that it could get on it. And I will say this, Bungie,
I'm looking right
take
now.
a page out of the book for what you've done with this weapon. This should be your model for every gun in the game, of having a strict balance of PvE perks versus PvP. Same thing what you do with Mindbenders. You gutted every PvP perk from the gun except for snapshot sight. This new sniper rifle can roll with like triple tap Vorpal if you wanted
That's
to
a
be a
nice
PvE
sniper.
gun. It can roll with no distractions in moving target, snapshot moving target, snapshot opening shot, no distractions opening shot. It has multiple options to be a PvE sniper and a PvP sniper. And it has a great perk for solo players if they're going into solo content, or if they're like away from their teammates in a PvP match. So, because if I'm like, I gotta pull it up real quick. The origin trait for that gun,
Search party.
Search party. Go ahead and read it, Falcon.
It says this weapon is granted faster aim down sight speed and movement speed while aiming down sights when no allies are near. That's dirty.
So it's basically like if you have that gun with snapshots already on it, and you're away from your teammates, that's double snapshot speed where you can really just fully quickscope somebody. That's insane.
Nasty.
So like this could really be a great asset, and I think this should be the model of how the weapons team looks forward to every gun. There shouldn't be we're not going to give you this perk. We're going to take away this perk because we're afraid it's going to be a problem. If you're making a weapon, this is the perfect way. It doesn't have like 1,000,001 perks like the Crucible guns right now. It doesn't have a bunch of useless perks. Every perk on this list is usable. Perpetual motion, triple tap, snapshot, no distractions, cloud cartridge, auto loading. If you want auto loading, which I don't know who would want that, but like it is like nothing. Vorpal, opening shot, high impact reserves, moving target, swashbuckler if you're psychotic, but it's still a good option if you want to do that kind of build. And even the new slick draw, which is a lesser quick draw, which I kind of enjoy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of options here, and I really enjoy this.
So
yeah.
So just a question: does anybody remember the SMG from Guardian games?
Title, like it really didn't perform the way I wanted it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember people saying that they were grinding for that thing because in certain situations, depending on where you were in the grind process, you could get 2 or 3 perks in each.
Mm-hmm.
You could. It was pretty nasty. Like, especially if you would wait till like the last day of like the last hour of the day, whenever they reset, you could get the award and get not only a fully masterworked one, but one with some dirty perks on it. So that was a cool way to do that.
But how often do you see it used now?
Very rarely.
Never.
Very rarely.
Yeah.
Mainly because it's being outclassed by other SMGs right now. Not only do you have Funnel Web, which surprisingly made its way onto the trials list last week, but you have things like Shira's Wrath, which is going to get nerfed right now. You have Multi-Mock, that's kind of just like staying where it's at. Like, there's other SMGs that are void of people's time. So, like,
Hero's Burden.
Ooh, yeah, Hero's Burden.
Hero's Burden is I think better than Shariah's.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
And I think what it boils down to is at least from the role that I have is the stability. I think
that's fair.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm fairly certain that a Hero's Burden is a little bit more stable than Shariah's. Now, I'm talking base Shariah's. If you have a good adept Shariah's, it's a laser. So
yeah, that's fair. That's a good distinction, though. I think it fills that Hero's Burden definitely fills that kinetic slot. If you're looking for a different loadout than Shariah's, it definitely is a good replacement.
Right. And then,
especially if you can't
Toll, are you
trials.
okay, dog? You've been kind of quiet.
Oh yeah, I'm good. I've just been chilling here, listening to you guys talk, chiming in when I can.
Say something.
I'm not a PvP guy.
Oh
I'm
my
not
God.
I'm not the PvP guy.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, now that we're at the end of the TWAB, that we talked like everything about that. Let's talk about the struggle of endgame.
See, this is where I excel in.
So
PvE.
So I wanna very much lay this out because there were people on my TikTok this past week that were being elitist as fuck, and I need y'all to shut up because people were saying, "Oh, Lightblade's easy, Glasswave's easy. It's a skill issue. You're not good at the game." I'm like, bro, before we started this show, I watched a video of 3-time world's first racer Glad die multiple times in the Lightblade strike. I've watched GXR Clyde like die multiple times in the Lightblade strike. Like this, when I was LFGing last night or the night before last, I watched a 3-time Gilded Conqueror and a Ravensbane die to the Risen Hive that were in there.
Yep.
Like these strikes are to test your metal, to make you work harder once they were cranked up to GM level. So I want to very much say screw the elitist people who act like all this stuff is easy, but also I really want to be upfront, especially because Bill's here and he can speak on it. The thing of pretty much you need to prepare yourself mentally for these. Yeah. I remember the day Glasswave came out last week, there were people in our clan that were like, I'm going to run 10 Glasswaves. I'm going to do this and that. We're going to run it together. Who wants to run a Glasswave? Yada, yada. I'm like, y'all ain't ready for this.
Pain.
No.
Like, y'all
I still didn't get my Glasswave completion. I tried getting it. That was 2 hours.
Well, it took me about 35 minutes to get mine. Like, it was pretty easy.
I did not get it.
But only
I still
because
need to get a Glasswave.
Only because I have the prior experience. Right. Like I have the previous experience to know what to do, how to counter it, but also
sounding pretty elitist right now.
Right. But like I even watched as one of our best warlocks in our clan died to a Minotaur punching him in the ass. Like you watch some of the best players in the game just get their butts kicked. There was multiple times where I would be the only person alive and had to go hide on the other end of the boss room from the wyverns. Like these GMs will kick your butt. Like when the Proving Grounds is in rotation as a GM, that thing will kick your ass.
Proving Grounds was literally the deciding factor of me getting or not gilding my Conqueror last season. I did not gild it.
We didn't do it.
I got everything else done but Proving Grounds, and I just said, you know what? This is not worth my time. This is not worth the mental stress of trying to get through this. I did it already this season. I'm good.
So, Bill, I want to get your thoughts on this situation.
So, here's the thing that I always think about when going into a GM, and I think this is where people fall short, is that you have somebody who's a Titan main who thinks, if I get the right Titan loadout, I can solve any problem. Well, it boils down to the fact that you need to have people on your team that understand how all the loadouts fit together. So,
Right.
for example, Proving Grounds. I beat Proving Grounds, but that was only because we had 2 Titans and 1 Warlock. And what we did with our 2 Titans is we ran Banner Shield with Ursus. So basically, we would just cycle between the 2, back and forth, and we would just take turns with our super, and we would just take our time. The problem that people have is that they think I know how to play this game as a hunter. So all I have to do is wear Omnioculus and go Invis. Well, what you need is you need people on your fire team while you're Invis to be doing something else, so that when you come out of your Invis, you're in the right spot and you're able to do the right DPS, like on those two tanks, or having somebody who understands the so that last boss room in Proving Ground. It's really hard to hide there. There are very few places to hide, so you have to understand how the ads spawn, and you have to understand how to move around the room in the right sequence, and yet be patient. And
Exactly.
And this is the part where everybody fails the most. Is that there are times when you think you're doing everything correctly and you die.
Yep.
Okay, that is just how it works.
Yep.
And that's the thing about the PvE game that is Destiny 2, is that sometimes the game beats you.
Yep.
Right.
It doesn't have anything to do with the fact that the game is broken or that something doesn't register. It's every once in a while the game beats you.
Right. And I even talked about that this past week, where it was like there are the Lucid Hive in Lightblade that their frisbees can one shot you.
Yes.
The suppressor grenades can one shot you.
They're using Cronus.
Yeah, they're using Cronus.
Right. And so some people, and I will also have myself in that group sometimes. If you don't have the right mindset going in, and if you're not willing to fail, several times, you're going to get frustrated with the game, and then you're going to blame everybody else.
Yep.
And while somebody may have rezzed you in the wrong spot, or didn't do the rotation correctly as you thought it should, you thought you had planned it out. The great thing about the game is you could get everything correct every single time and still die.
Yep.
And so I try to do all my jams on my Titan. Doesn't always work. Every once in a while, I believe when I did Lightblade the very, very first time, I was on a war. And while it hurt me to my soul to have to complete that seal on my Warlock, I mean, it like literally wounded my heart. I have to say that I got the seal because of my Warlock. But I mean, in the end, this game has a really, really quick tendency to humble you.
Yep.
Really quick tendency, and one of the things I always say to people is, it is okay for things to be hard. It is okay for things to be hard, and that's why we keep playing. So,
right,
that's
like,
a great take.
That's a great take, honestly.
And
So I want to get your feedback on how you felt about getting your ass kicked by Lightblade this week.
Look, I like cool. Once you learn how he works, and that you'll like, okay, he does this. No, he doesn't. Alakul will run up on you and hit you with his light blast.
I kid you not. I was hiding behind a bush towards the beginning of the strike.
The opening row,
linebackers his ass across the whole arena it hits me. I'm like, yo, what?
Hashtag humbled.
Right. Like Ala Cool does not
But
give a crap
GMs,
about what zip code you're in. He doesn't care about what your phone number is. He's coming fast.
Yes,
but
definitely.
GMs as well as like master raids and master dungeons are there to test you, to test your resolve, test your mental resolve, test your builds.
Yep.
They have good loot minus master raids,
Yeah.
Get him!
but master dungeons have some of the best armor in the game.
Yep.
GM Nightfalls have some of the best weapons in the game.
Yep.
Even Trials has some of the best weapons in the game. The end game content in Destiny is there to test you. It's not you testing the game is testing you.
Yep.
Right.
And so, like Bill said, sometimes the game beats you, and that is okay.
You could have the best build in town. You could have like your stats as high as possible. You could have the best mods in the game. And sometimes Ala Cool will still kick you in the dick. It does not matter. Like I used a great reference for someone this week where I referenced Dragon Ball Z Abridged, where Vegeta says he keeps kicking me in the dick. Why does it keep kicking me in the dick? I'm like, sometimes he's just gonna kick you in the dick and you have to walk it off. Like, and I mean that from a gender neutral standpoint too. Like, this is just gonna kick you down, and you're just gonna have to get up and shake it off and try again. And one thing that I want to stress, and I know Bill Falcon and Toll can echo this, is similar to Master Raids and World's First Raids and like that type of content. Bungie isn't trying to gatekeep you from this content just because you don't have the right stat loadout or because you don't have the right mod gen or you don't have the right exotic loadout or whatever. It's because this content is supposed to be rewarding for those who bust their ass and put the work in each and every season.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's never to punish you. It's never to punish you for taking a break. It's never to punish you for not having the right build. It's a reward for those who put that work in and can climb that mountain.
Yeah, see, and one of the things that it always frustrates me about people who get who think that Bungie's gatekeeping. It's like, here's the thing. Bungie does not owe you everything in the game. What they owe you is an experience.
Mm-hmm.
Bungie owes you an experience. That's it. And so your experience changes based upon how much you play the game, what weapons that you use, what character that you use, how you progress, and how you use your perks. But all Bungie owes you is an experience. That's it.
That's honestly something I was thinking about today while I was at work. I was thinking about what it would be like if we were playing video games and we were playing in a universe where like Destiny wasn't around. Like, I was thinking, is there really anything that could like fill this void if we didn't know Destiny exists? And I was like, there's really no other experience like this that Bungie's offering us right now.
No.
Right. No. So the only thing that really comes close, there are certain BRs that have like a sandbox feel to it. But I was just thinking about this. I think there might be only one live service game, and that might be like a RuneScape, maybe.
Or Warframe, I think, is pretty
Or like
close.
Final Fantasy 14 might be the closest.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah, something like that, where it's on 24/7, and depending on when you show up, certain things happen. Okay.
Yep.
But Destiny 2 gives you a first-person experience that I mean, I have friends that don't ever play PvP. They don't care. They don't want it. And then I have other friends who just play PvP because they think it's fun and they enjoy that process and that grind. You can play the game however you want to play it.
Yep.
And so it is a live service game. I can play with someone who's in China. I can play with someone who's in France. I can play with someone who's in California. I can do all of those things at the same time. and the game exists whether or not I'm playing it. And so I really fail to understand people who get really who have that high-minded mentality, and that it's very much a sense of entitlement around certain gear. And I'm like, no, Bungie doesn't owe you anything other than an experience. That's it. That's all they owe you.
And it's like they will even admit that when like something is a little too hard. Like they admitted the whole like kill 50 champions was a little too hard. Like they admit sometimes that like the casual experience is a little too high up on the board. So they will come back down, but they still give people, the hardcore players, something to strive for. So that's why it's like I want there to be even more potential for hardcore players to strive for things. Like we've talked about recently how if they would put the work in and redo some of the older expansions in a mission-based system and have legendary campaigns for those, like how they're going to do the legendary campaign for Lightfall. If you give people the incentive to do the higher level content, they will be able to strive for that, and then people who want that casual experience can have that casual.
Yeah. I think they could even achieve like a high level casual, like a high level and a casual experience.
Yeah.
If they get rid of the power system. I think they've already been experiencing with contest mode, with the Derelict Leviathan, like clearly that's the direction we're going in. And they even said it in Lightfall, they're going to experiment it with Merge Season. And that's the most exciting thing I think that could be coming to Destiny, honestly, right now. That could add to that experience you're talking about.
Well, see, and see, I didn't play D1. I didn't know it existed until my son told me that I should download D2. He says to me, Dad, there's this game, Destiny 2. I play it a lot, and this is back in the Red War. He said, this version of the game is free and you should download it. And I'm like, why? He said, Dad, if you download it, then I'll play it with you. I'm like, okay, you got it. And so I downloaded it. But I didn't play D1. I would pay $75. I'd probably pay more if they took all of D1, the base D1 game, Rise of Iron, Crotus, and the Machine, all that. If they packaged all those campaigns into one, I'd buy it. I'd buy it in a heartbeat because I never played that stuff.
I stand with that.
Yeah, I'd buy it in a heartbeat just to understand the game, just to see how the mechanics have evolved over time. And
I mean, to be fair, you can buy Destiny the collection. It's just hard to come by these days.
Right, and it's one of those things that I would buy just to play the game to understand how it's evolved. I don't want the PvP modes. I just want the campaigns. I just want the story part to understand those locations and all that stuff that has happened.
Right.
But I don't know if there's actually enough people that want that these days. So.
Well, and that's what's even crazy is we've talked about if they would put the work in to redo the Red War and Curse of Osiris, and because that's the biggest issue that people have had, even with Beyond Light, or even Witch Queen, where there's those couple missions where they'll be like, go to the Cosmodrome and kill this thing, or go to Nessus, or go to Mercury and Titan and kill this thing. If you streamlined the mission structure for those campaigns and just had episode 1, episode 2, yada yada, or mission 1, mission 2, you could really just give those back in the Legends tab and allow people to enjoy that content.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Cole, your thoughts?
I on everything we've been talking about, honestly, I'm here for it. Give us a way to play all the. I would be one of those people who buys that package of campaign missions. If it's just the campaign missions, nothing else, I would buy it. But I'm also sitting here like, please bring back the Sky Brothers strike. That was my favorite strike in D1.
Oh, I love that one. I love the Scion strike too.
Bill, that strike, you go into the Dreadnought, and there are these 2 Cabal brothers that are trying to blow it up. And it was a lot of fun because the way their AI worked was very interesting. And then when you killed one, the AI switched up a little bit and made it harder,
Mhm.
and it was
Mhm.
so much fun because it was
Okay.
challenging, not
Right.
even on a GM level.
Okay.
I was trying to think. I always try to think back why Destiny 1 was so rewarding the way it was. If it was just like me being younger, or they really offered like it was like the first experience of their experience they were offering. Why I think it was so special. So yeah, I
Right,
think people
and there's a
deserve to
lot of
play it.
people. There's a lot of people that have rose-tinted glasses, but I can say from experience because I went back recently and played the vanilla campaign. That shit is boring. That shit
Oh
is
yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
it legit
D1
will grind your soul up. Like if from the story perspective, you enjoy the story, you enjoy the first hand experience. But like once you go through it, you understand how the live service model for D1 slowed to a crawl, where
Yeah.
you would have like the strikes that took too long, the PvP maps that were a problem because the meta didn't work properly sometimes, the slower like way about things. You understand why it was a struggle. The story is great. You could go through and love that story and have fun and kill Oryx and Crota and fight the Wrath of the Machine fights. You could do that. But everything else, you understand why the day-to-day crawl was a pain in the ass.
Destiny 1 really didn't fix itself until the Taken King expansion, when they
Yeah.
said we're gonna overhaul everything. They
And even
fixed
then, there
so
was
much
still
with that.
and even then, there were still some things that had issues to the point that once they finally came around with Rise of Iron, and then they finally did that one last update with the the Triumph like update. They're like, okay, cool, this is the end of the road. We're gonna give you one last burst of content, and then we're gonna go do D2. And they hit the mark with it. So it's very much like if you go back to D1 right now, like if you buy Destiny the Collection or buy Taken King for like $10 and then go get Rise of Iron, you can do that content. It's very rewarding, but it definitely shows you the day-to-day crawl was a pain in the butt.
Oh yeah.
Destiny 1 was a fun game, but it just didn't have replayability outside of like
No.
maybe a month or two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say that. But in general, I do think right now the community really needs to get like more stable for D2 because you have really elitist people on one side who acted like, and I even had people who would leave an LFG after one run last night, and I'm like, bro, you're the one that died. You're the one who died to the Scream or to the Lucid Hive while I'm running my ass around like a crackhead trying to res you. You're the one that died to Allah Cool. You're the one who did this. Like, I think Bill kind of hit it on the head where some people come off entitled like they're supposed to just get handed the reward.
Right.
And it's like there needs to be a balance of understanding where this is high level content. It's gonna kick your butt, but also it can be really rewarding if you get through it.
Yeah.
But also there needs to be the people who understand that not everyone's gonna have the same experience. You may think it's easy, but like I said, I watched a 3-time world's first play raider get his dick kicked in by Ala Cool today. Like it happens. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think Bill hit it on the head there about the idea that like sometimes the game just beats you.
Sometimes
Yeah.
the game just right in the dick. Bang, you're done, you know.
It really is. It really is like sometimes you're just trying to do ad clear and master caretaker, and it just is not you're going your way.
So it's like we want the community to understand that we care about how you're feeling. And we want you to understand that like Bungie isn't trying to stop you from doing the content. They just want you to work harder to achieve that content. And granted, there's the
Right.
folks who are like, well, I have a kid, I have kids, I have a wife, I have a job. Bro, I have a 9 to 5 and I still come home and record this podcast. I'm gonna go do some light blade before I go to bed. Like, it's not to gatekeep you or punish you for having a life. It's to give people the ability to do that content if they have the time to do that content.
Right.
So that's where I would say that, if that makes sense. But yeah, this was a pretty good episode. I don't know, Bill, if you have any more you want to talk about, like I think we kind of hit it on the nose there a little bit, but like is there anything else you want to leave the good people with for this episode?
You know, honestly, I mean, we hit the TWAB pretty good and the GM experience. I mean, I've tried day one 3 times, and I have failed 3 times. And it when going back to the hard content concept, and just each of those 3 runs, while in the moment it's frustrating, when you get to like hour 6 and hour 12, and you're doing the same encounter for 4.5 hours. Those are those moments of struggle when you're just like wanting to stab your fire team in the face because for the 90th time, when I say, when I call it out, okay, I know I called it out, you didn't hear, and it's those experiences that really define who we are as guardians. And it just goes back to what I said earlier. It's okay for things to be hard. It is perfectly fine that things are difficult. I'm not a young person. I am not a young person. I am on the downhill side of my, I guess you call it my own existence, but it's probably due to the fact that I've done a lot of things in my life, and I try to think of Destiny 2 as like a metaphor. Is that you evolve with the game, and you have an understanding of different activities. Me playing PvP now versus 12 months ago. I've learned more about positioning and movement just by watching other people play and trying some things myself. And it's this all feeds into the idea of all Bungie owes you is an experience, and it's up to you to take that experience and do something with it. And so you can be frustrated by the game, and you can say, it always drives me nuts. People do something in the game and they think that they die unfairly, and they're just, and their first reaction is Bungie, fix your game. I'm like, no, you fix yourself first, okay? I'm pretty certain that Bungie knows what they're doing. They wouldn't be spending $400 million on a new DLC if they didn't know what they were doing.
Right.
And
Fair.
so I've taken this game I've taken this game more to heart from a personal aspect, and it's when it comes to content and doing things on TikTok. I mean, when I first started playing, I was in a totally different space in my life, different space with my kids and my marriage and everything like that. And this game has gotten better over time because my life has gotten better over time. And I've made content, and I've posted videos. I do stuff on TikTok, and now I wrote this fan fiction story, and I've been so I wrote this fan fiction story, and I've been sitting on this thing for about 1.5 years, and I got the idea one day, and I just started writing, and then I realized, I'm like, what if you turn this into like a radio theater concept? What if I hired voice actors? What if I hired voice actors to do this? And I would not have thought of this idea, 3 years ago, and I wouldn't have had the courage to even try this. But I've become more comfortable in my own skin, and so now, and here I'll put in the chat for you guys to listen to later. But I mean, I have this. I'm writing this fan fiction story. I have the first one done. The second one is pretty much done. I need to make some editing, and I'm already working on the third one. And this game is so fabulous and so rich and so wonderful that it brings people together, and it provides us an opportunity to have a shared experience, like this podcast. I would not be here right now talking to 3 random people that before today I had no idea who you guys were. I never talked to any of you, but this game is so fabulous that me, I'm 50 years old. I am 50 years old, and I get to spend time with my son, who when I started playing this game back in 2018, he said, "Dad, you should play this game. It's free." And this was back when my son was a senior in high school, and he was with his mother 2.5 hours away, and I was in a different town, and this game is so fabulous that my son spent $70 of his own money to buy me Forsaken.
That's awesome.
He bought.
Yeah.
He spent $70 of his own money, and he just said, "Dad, if you download this game, I'll play with you." And I'm like, "Perfect, I'll do it. Whatever you want, I don't care." And I started playing the game, and then the moment that this game was like burned into my soul, the moment was when my son mentions, he goes, "Hey, Dad," and I'm like, "What's up? What's up?" And he sent me the link, and he bought me Forsaken. And I said, "You did not have to do this." He goes, "I know, Dad, but I wanted to." He spent $70 of his own money to buy a game that I would play with him. And so that was when I knew this is something pretty freaking awesome, because it was in that moment that I knew my son loved me. I'd always, he was a teenager and that whole business, but it was that moment that like, my son loves me because he wants me around, and I'll do everything that I can in this game to learn how to play it, just so I can spend time with him and have conversations with him and do these things with him. And so for me, I get really frustrated when people say things about this game and they take it way too seriously. Like way too seriously. I'm like, it's like, yes, you probably got screwed because of your connection in PvP. Okay, but you know what? You probably met 100 people that you would have never met before, and you've had experiences and connections that you would have never had before. And so I'm just extremely grateful for this game, for this community, to be able to sit here on a podcast with, like I said, 3 random strangers and talk about a video game for 2 hours. So
it's awesome.
Yeah,
Most
it is.
definitely.
This is
That
freaking
story
awesome.
made me emotional. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, that's
So yeah, no.
that is why Destiny 2 is one of my favorite games.
Yeah.
Hands
So-
down.
Really special. Thank you for sharing that.
For real. We were so glad that we could have you on for this episode. And like, we always talk about how there's a right way and a wrong way to criticize. And there was even someone today in freaking Mercules' Twitter replies being the worst kind of human, and he got made fun of by the devs live on Twitter because he wanted to be a jackass. And it's like, you want to show your ass out the internet, cool, but like respect the devs, respect the work they're doing, and criticize the correct way. That's what we would want to say there. Falcon, what you want to leave these people with? Get out of here.
Ooh, I don't think I could say anything better than Bill's story. I think we should all take a little moment to appreciate what he just said and really think about how special this game is and what it's brought to our lives.
Fair enough. So you got anything?
I agree with that, man. I want to leave it at that. It's just Destiny 2 it's a special game.
Mhm.
Video
most
games in
definitely.
general are it brings people together. Yeah, there are some asshats out there that try and be rude and all that, and you know what? Screw them. I'm here for all the positive people to have a good experience and make some new friends. That's what I'm here for, and I know there's a lot of other people out there that are trying to do the same.
Most definitely. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this episode up, folks. Don't forget that you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, all those great places. And you can follow us on Twitter at Cosmodrome Radio, and you can check out the website cosmodromeradio.com, where you can check out all of our stuff that we have going on. We even have some cool stuff coming up. We're trying out some merch ideas and different things like that. We will be opening up our Discord soon. That way you can be a part of the community. So get ready for that. But we will catch you folks next week right here at Cosmodrome Radio. We will see you.